This is what time the billionaires wake up.
So the big question is, what are the top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams, and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? If you ever thought about this, you're not alone. No one has been able to get the answers until now.
We spent the last few years helping agents sell billions in real estate, rubbing shoulders with top producers, which got us thinking, how can we expose more people to these insights to help raise the standard in the whole real estate industry? We then realized that we could help bridge the gap by getting the secrets from the best of the best so that you can succeed. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Elite Agent Secrets. On today's episode, we've got Jerome Mangubat. He is a agent who's been doing it for a couple of years now, and he went from a terrible first year doing about 20 grand total to now netting over six figures a year in basically 2 short years. So Jerome, thanks for jumping on with us today. We can't wait to interview you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I'm very excited.
So dude, I've been watching your progress from start to finish. I mean, you're just getting going, and it's crazy to think that a few years ago, you were just graduating college, coming in from Delaware.
And remember when we first met? Or I remember that picture.
Dude, I still have it. We're sitting at Rittenhouse Park, having our first lunch. You totally green, mini mangs.
I was a baby.
Yeah, to now becoming one of the powerhouses and forces to reckon with in the city. It's been quite a journey, and it's amazing that you're just really getting going, right? Like Andrew said, you went from doing a little bit fucking your way through the first year to now, getting a hang of things, and talk about your journey.
Yeah, let's start off here, because I think it's nice to get perspective, because you've got such a short journey and you have already got success, and you've done it in basically the hardest time, which is a pandemic, right? So let's talk about that, when you got your license all the way through to where you are now, to give people a bit of a perspective of what you've gone through to get to this point in 2 years, basically, unless you did it in 2008, probably the second hardest time to launch in real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's important to talk about how I even got into the business. I graduated from the University of Delaware in 2018 with an exercise science degree, minor in Spanish, and my concentration was biomechanics. And, that's obviously healthcare. And the goal for me was to do my graduate program in Philadelphia and become a physical therapist. I took a year off to work, and in that year, I was doing some apartment shopping with Francis in Philadelphia. And my first introduction to real estate was I went to Lawrence's 30th birthday party in Vesper, hung out with all of Francis's friends who I hadn't, at that point, from the time he graduated until that time I took that year off, I hadn't seen Francis in about 2 years. So it's our first time to hang out. And at Vesper, people were like, "Oh my God, you're Francis' little brother. Are you joining the business?" I said, "Absolutely not. Nah, I'm in healthcare." And then, lo and behold, Francis presents me with the opportunity, or he mentioned it at the pool. He said, "Hey, if you want to join the business, I'd gladly teach you everything I know." I said no. And then when I went back to, my 9-to-5 job at this clinic, I was like, this is miserable. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to work a 9-to-5. Everyone here, it's your typical 9-to-5. They couldn't wait to clock out on Friday night. And, that's just not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. It's quite miserable. I only did that for about 6 years. And then I said, "All right, Francis, I'm getting my real estate license." I quit my job. And at the time, I didn't even know what a real estate agent did. I just said, "I'm not doing this anymore. This is the last time I work for someone for the rest of my life." And that's how it got started.
So a bit of context, Francis is big brother, other successful agent who will be coming on, but not been on yet. So you've beaten him to the punch. So if everyone's going, who's Francis? He is big brother, right? Not little brother.
Yeah. For
big
sure.
brother. Yeah. So that's how you got started. And then talk to us then once once you got started, let's go into like, now you're a real estate agent. Now you took the leap. You've got nothing on your side except your big brother who's like, yeah, I'll help you out, right? And now
Yeah.
you're going to get into the weeds of it. And I'm pretty damn sure, well, as we know, it didn't rocket off to success.
No, absolutely not. Again, I got licensed 9/11 of 2019. And that was, really tough for me because I was in this new place. I didn't know. I just moved to Philadelphia. I know 4 people from, University of Delaware, so I can't have them as clients. The first thing they taught us in one of our lectures in Keller Williams, Philadelphia, is like, just talk to the people ask for business, use this script. I was like, guys, the 4 people I know in Philadelphia, they are healthcare students just like me. They're in Temple Dental. They are in Thomas Jefferson PT, Thomas Jefferson Medical School. They're not going to be hitting me up to buy, sell, invest for another 20 years. So I literally knew no one. I also don't know anything about Philadelphia. I couldn't tell you at the time, like, what any of the neighborhoods are. I literally, it's quite terrifying. On top of that, my brother I was like, all right, my brother's going to just help me out. And then, I asked the rookie agents. I asked the rookie agents. I was like, yeah, did Francis just tell you what to do? He goes, he just laughed at me. He's not going to help you. I was like, oh, he'll help me out.
Francis's coaching style is vastly different than probably from what you've expected, isn't it?
Correct. He's not good with the introductory beginner stuff. Like I asked him first day at the office, I'll never forget this. This is one of my favorite stories. I go, hey, Francis, he's sitting there at his desk. I said, hey, Francis, I have a question about this. And he's on his desk writing a check or on his computer. He looks at me, he goes, what the hell are you doing? I'm doing something right now. I was like, I just have a quick question with this. And he's like, go shoot me a Google Calendar invite. Go send me an email. We'll talk about it at lunch. I'm occupied at the moment. It's like, all right, I'll ask tomorrow or someone else.
Dude, I remember actually Francis calling me and how excited he was that you were joining the business. And it was like, I don't know the kind of magic that he did on you to actually get you to come over. But then when we met and we sat down and you were already in the business at Rinhouse Park, have that first conversation, seeing that evolution from what you're sharing with us now to where you have, you have really gone to, it's been quite a trip. So when you're sharing with us like a story about like how you had a little question that you couldn't get an answer to,
yeah,
rocking the city.
So the way I really got started going is that obviously, Francis is the beginner stuff. He's can't mentor or won't mentor me. So he asked his mentor, Adam Atkin, to coach me. And for those of you that don't know, the Atkins, I believe they founded Keller Williams Philadelphia. And like me and Francis, well, Adam's like, I don't normally do this coaching anymore, but your older brother is like a little brother to me. And I see a lot of yourself in myself. I had a little chip on my shoulder because like your older brother, my older brother was, the real estate legend. And, they absolutely blew up Keller Williams Philadelphia. So he was the one that got me started, introduced me to the business. I did coaching with him for like the first year. And that's how I pretty much learned everything. We did coaching sessions. Any questions I had, he was readily available. But yeah.
Got it. So, I definitely was thinking that you're going to come in and say, yo, Francis just taught me everything and that's why I'm so damn successful. But if anything, that was the expectation, but couldn't be further from the reality. So you basically got into the business and were just like, okay, I've got to figure everything out with the help of this mentor. But like you didn't really have any help to start off with, which helps explain why your first year wasn't like this huge explosion of growth that you kind of I guess somewhat anticipated in a way. Like I've had similar experiences actually. When I very first started out in business, my plan was to go into the same business as actually is now my sister's husband, and we were going to do the exact same business model. And I was like, I'm just going to do this. He knows it all super well, and then it's just going to be like ridiculous. Like I'm just going to skip like a decade of learning, and then it was like first year I was like, holy fuck. This didn't go to plan at all. Like, you know, it took years, even with, you know, because the help wasn't what, I guess, partly what I expected, but it wasn't that. It's like, shit's just way harder because like you've got to do the learning yourself, right? Like they can't shortcut your learning cycle. They can kind of help you skip certain mistakes, like, you know, teach you certain fires are hot, don't put your hand over there, which they necessarily didn't get taught, which is something that I also got. It was like, that doesn't work, just don't do that. And, you know, it does help, right? But then there is certain things you just don't know yet, and you just can't skip those. Like they are fundamental or foundational things. And I think in real estate more than anything, especially because real estate is so heavily on the relationship building side, and you just can't skip that. Like it's just not something that you can kind of jump ahead and you're just like this amazing. Like some people are naturally good with people, obviously, but how like the inner workings of doing transactions, dealing with the people, like the stresses, the ups and downs that they're going through with the biggest transaction usually in their life are things you've got to learn, right? And that sounds like that basically took you a year to figure out.
And in the beginning, you know, I didn't do the coaching with Adam immediately. He was in Turkey, so for like a month, and he's like, "All right, once I get back, I can start coaching you." And that first month, I was really just figuring literally stuff on my own. I got licensed on like a Wednesday, and Francis says, "You know, this weekend you should host an open house." It's like, Francis, I don't even know what an open house is. Like, what do I do? What do I talk about? He's just, dude, you just need to add value. I go, like, how? So again,
What does that even mean?
I was like, Francis, or I think I shadowed one open house, and then a week later, he asked me to do my own. And then I'm like, dude, am I even like qualified for this? Like, I don't know, like literally anything. And then like, he's like, yeah, you want to host this closing for me? I was like, dude, I don't know what this is. So again, it was good to just be thrown into like everything, but I literally had no idea what I was doing.
But did you do them is the question. Did you do the open house? Did you do the closing?
Like not trying to mess up or like get sued. He goes, all right, you take this stack of papers, put it in the right folder. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get sued.
This is great. I mean, it's kind of the story itself is kind of a beautiful one, like I said, because it's just it sounded like from the beginning it was just going to be like this fairy tale, which it's turned out to be now, but it was far from it. In your first year, like you did what, about 20K, what in gross was about 20?
Not even that, probably.
So like you had every reason to quit in your first year to become, was it one of the, is it 84% of real?
Yeah, 82% fail in the first year.
So you had everything. You had every reason to quit.
You know, I was a broke college student. I had only 4 to 6 months left of like reserve income.
Right.
And, you know, I was for sure pushing that. If I ran out of money, I would have had to move back home.
I think this is a wonderful transition. So obviously, as everyone knows, the format is we've got obviously Jerome's 3 secrets to him being successful now in real estate. I think this is a wonderful transition into the first one, which you said is, you know, the reinvention of yourself. I'm guessing that happened between the first and second year, right?
Yeah. So again, you know, I was a broke college student, and one of the first sessions that I had with Adam is he said, all right, we're going to focus on your habits, and we have to completely like reinvent everything that you're doing. So in the beginning, he's like, you know, what time do you wake up? Yada, yada, yada. What books are you reading? Yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, well, I wake up at like 12. I haven't read a book in about 5 years. And he's like, all right, well, we're going to
Brutal honesty.
Yeah. She's like, we're gonna have to. I hate reading. That was like my worst subject by far. Like I in the SAT and GRE, I barely got the 50% score necessary for University of Delaware and all my grad programs. So it's like since I was like 4, I despise reading. Like I remember in first grade, I'll never forget that. I don't even know how I remember this. One of the comments that my teacher made is that I know he can read at a higher level. He's just reading easy books because he's lazy.
I swear to God, I actually thought you were going to say I saw a little comment where the teacher just went, Jerome shit at reading.
Not quite.
That'd be too honest.
To be fair, it's funny you say that because I had the same distaste for reading for the longest time. And when I went to university college, I had in my very final year for like our big project, our dissertation, whatnot, but I literally had to, like, I had no choice, right? So I had to like push through, and I made that shift. And now I don't read every day, but there is definitely a shift there. So I feel the pain where it's just like, I don't want to do this, man.
So, I basically replaced all these bad habits with better ones. I didn't even I quit playing Xbox, didn't even bring the Xbox to Philadelphia. I had the self-control to do that, replaced it with reading. Started getting up a little earlier. Adam wanted me to wake up at 5 a.m. That was a challenge for me.
Did you meet him halfway at 11:30?
Yeah. Baby steps. That I'm still working on.
So let's go through some specifics of what you did. So do you read every day now? Are you up at like 8?
Well, not read, but I use Audible.
Okay.
So that if let's say I'm working out in the shower or driving, at the time I was still working a little bit at my golf place in Delaware. I did that like part-time just so I can have, some income just to pay for like rent and food. So I was doing that part-time. Like for the first 6 months, I was just working every day, did not take a day off. And again, 0 results. But
okay.
Part of the journey. What else did I started, really prioritizing my health. Francis works 80 to 100 hours a week. I was barely doing 40. That was a struggle. I had to drink 3 cups of coffee to wake up before 9. I felt like shit. I was eating like shit. And just recently, I think it was this year, he asked me to do his isogenics cleanse. And that was crazy because, he said, you should do this cleanse with him. He calls me up. He said, you should do this cleanse. And I'm like, why? And at the time I've already been working out. So I'm like, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm good. Nah, it's also like $600 or $800 for a whole month of real meal replacement. So I'd much rather eat out with that $600, $800. And he's like, yeah, man, you'll feel a little bit better. You'll just have more energy. And I was like, all right, fine, whatever. And I did it. And I was like, yeah, I can't wait to tell him this is all placebo effect. And it didn't work out. And then by day 3, I'm waking up at 4 a.m. completely
wired.
Energized.
Yeah.
4 a.m.
Really?
4 a.m. And I was like, well, now what?
I remember this because it was you, me, Ali, him. We all did it at the same time.
There was no alcohol, no caffeine, red meat, all meal replacements. And again, by day 4, I was
one of these.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, all right. Damn, he's right again.
I think especially I've got a lot of brothers and sisters too. And sometimes you kind of roll with the punches. You're like, I'll do this to prove you wrong because you kind of got that brotherly rivalry, that sibling rivalry. And you're like, I'm going to do this to spite you just to show you the wrong. And then when you're right, you're like, fuck, this is a real bitter pill now.
Yeah. Again, I said, I can't wait to tell him once these 30 days are over that I feel the same and it was a bunch of placebo.
But you feel great. I mean, when you were waking up at 4 a.m., I bet you genuinely felt like you got an extra day per day.
Yeah.
Like
For
that's
sure.
a huge difference. You were gaining like 5 or 6 hours a day in like actual productive time because you were feeling fucking.
So I was like, yeah, this is what like time the billionaires wake up, like The Rock, or he wakes up and that's when his first workout is. But like that's what time Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, all these top executive CEOs. That's like strictly what time they wake up.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. Now, before you go, we're giving access to a private training we did where we revealed the top 3 niches to get listings today completely for free. So if you want access, you can go and download that training at eliteagentsecrets.com. We're regularly releasing new trainings, guides and cheat sheets, so make sure to head over to eliteagentsecrets.com and sign up so you don't miss out.